Hello writers, come write with me. My name is Michaela Greenwood. I create worlds for mind adventures. Welcome to my channel, Write with Michaela. I'm very excited to have you join me on my channel, so don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell so you can go on this journey with me. Today is story time, or the day of our chapter exchange. I read you a chapter, you send me a chapter. If you're writing with me and you wish to exchange chapters, then send your chapter with written permission to writewithmichaela@gmail.com. I will post the email address at the end of the video and in the description below. I'm looking forward to reading your chapters. All chapters or writing prompts read on the channel, whether they are mine or another writer's work, are copyright protected material, and no one may use any part in writing their own stories. This story is PG-13, so if you're under 13 years of age, you need parental guidance. The story is in its rough draft stage, just as the last stories and writing prompts we've heard. The title of this story is Princess Emnorawyn Stygerguard, and today we are reading chapter 38, the last chapter. If you would like to read along, then send to the email I stated earlier and request a PDF of the chapter. Make sure you are specific. Now let's start. Princess Emnorawyn Stygerguard, chapter 38, Final Battle. The dragon riders flew to Tal's kingdom and discussed things before they flew to the Great Oak. Princess Emnorawyn landed just south of the Great Oak, and Daniel and Justin came out to meet her. The animals are restless, stated Daniel. I'm going to refrain from calling your people animals, stated Princess Emnorawyn. That negates the thinking part of you. Justin looked over to Daniel and then back to Princess Emnorawyn. Very well said, Princess. I sense a heaviness with you today. Are we still going to attack the remaining enemy with the source? There is much I don't know or understand. She motioned up to King Trufflemore. That king has been around dark magic before, and he believes that there is a practice known as necromancy, where the kings we think are dead can be resurrected. Then that is what we can do for my brother if he died, stated Justin. No, I will not practice this magic, stated Princess Emnorawyn. Then she explained the source once more, and she explained to the best of her understanding how resurrecting using necromancy meant the person resurrected owed a price, and in her mind, it would be better to be dead. Daniel asked how to defeat someone that could come back to life. Princess Emnorawyn answered the best she knew was cremation, and she explained what it meant. I want that for my mother, stated Daniel. Can we dig her up and burn her? Princess Emnorawyn sighed. Normally, you don't dig up the dead, but we can discuss things after this battle. How many in your group are going? The rest of Daniel's group stepped out of the trees. Daniel looked back. We discussed a lot of things, and they all want to go. They understand your bubbles and are okay with more than one in a bubble. Princess Emnorawyn noticed that there were no bear men or wolf men, but she didn't mention that. She told about the mudmen, and although they had fought beside the mudmen, they had not fought them, and they hadn't counted them. None in Daniel's group were from the flying gorillas, so they might still have to fight those, and the extra large birds as well. Then it seemed that everyone was ready to head out. Princess Emnorawyn and several from her group released the magical bubbles. Princess Emnorawyn looked at her grandfather as he thought to her, You are the first to retreat, she thought in return. No, you are. The animal people trust me. I don't know what they will think if I leave. Then we will fight together to the end, thought Sizemore. The whole group flew toward King Cronus's fortress and they let the magical bubbles down well before. Much to their disappointment, there were rows and rows of mudmen. A scout using the spyglass announced, "I see all 3 kings up on the battlements." Princess Emnorawyn wondered if the other 2 kings had been here during the battles yesterday, or if King Cronus resurrected them. She didn't know. She looked down and saw the animal people racing forward toward the mudmen. She also saw her grandfather fly forward, and he was very low. His dragon breathed fire and smashed into many before the animal people arrived. And I probably should say many mudmen, because there's so much going on. Sizemore's dragons then swooped up to attack at the back of the mudmen. Princess Emnorawyn sent out her magic to look for some water, and in her pouch she had several magical balls where Kalaisha had gathered more rope with metal in them. Princess Emnorawyn didn't tell her plan, but she hoped to get the poles to make a large zap for her to gather and send again. She started magically attaching the rope between the poles. The kings noticed the rope, and they gave orders to remove the rope, but several gorilla men were climbing the wall. As the gorilla men started fighting the soldiers, the flying gorillas lifted up out of the courtyard. Several flew in flight, and several went to undo the ropes. Princess Emnorawyn just flew around looking for water. She received thoughts from Steinerman that his siblings found water in a field to the east. She was thankful because her magic was only looking in the kingdom or fortress. Princess Emnorawyn directed Steinerman to fly east. Daniel paused as the princess headed away. An animal person near him asked, "Is she leaving us?" "No," replied Daniel. "But I saw her use rope yesterday. I think her rope is somehow different. I wouldn't go near those poles." They continued fighting. After a few dragons flamed the mudmen, the animal people felt the dragons were better for that, and they followed the gorilla man around to climb the wall. Some of the gorilla men opened the front gate. One gorilla man made it up to the kings, and he took King Balbatos's second sword and rammed it into the king. The other 2 kings rotated toward him. "Tell me," said the gorilla man, "are you real?" King Balbatos held out his hand. "I believe I'm real." Gorilla man looked at the hand and he saw black blood. At that moment, one of the other kings went to strike him, but Justin struck that king in the back. The gorilla man struck the 3rd king. "Find a way to burn the bodies. I'm going to find the scientists," said Justin. "The princess flew off," said the gorilla man. "She will return," said Justin. "Hopefully we will be ready to clear this place by then. If she does what she did yesterday." Justin glanced around. He sheathed the king's sword and went to climb the tower to find the scientists. The other gorilla man went to get a torch. He came back and easily caught the clothes of the kings or their replicas on fire. When he looked up, he could see the princess flying back in. "Clear away from the poles," he shouted. A flying gorilla scooped him up and flew towards the pole. Gorilla man took his torch and jabbed it up to hit the flying gorilla man that held him. He hit the face and part of the wing. The flying gorilla man dropped him. Gorilla man looked up and saw the princess slinging water from seemingly nowhere toward the poles. Lightning zigzagged around. The dragons, flaming and flying into mudmen, stopped and flew higher. They just watched. The gorilla man shouted, "Justin, you don't have time." He motioned to those near him. "We need to clear this place." He ran towards the large gate, but many others stared and gawked. The lightning was stretching out and striking flying gorillas that flew in too near. Princess Emnorawyn said to herself, "Grandfather wanted me to gather the zaps. So I gather these for him, for Stygerguard, and for my father. I gather them to free my people from living in caves. I gather them for all those who gave up their air, and I add a protection to these zaps, that they never give permission for anyone to take their air or use them for ill." As she spoke, she gathered the zaps in her hand, and she compressed it. She had learned a few things from yesterday. She would send it in to the source, small and compacted. and it could enlarge once inside. Or so she hoped. Prince Hadley and Commander Offerton flew around her and protected her from the flying gorillas. They realized what was going on. Justin popped out of a window. "I got the head!" He tossed the head and started climbing down. Princess of Norway could not hold the compressed zaps, so she sent them in to the source. The zaps expanded immediately and knocked Princess of Norway back off her dragon. Elsie flew under her. Princess of Norway received thoughts from Steinerman to grab onto his sister, so she did. Everyone in the fortress and in the courtyard started racing out, and the dragons flew out over the battlements, but well away from the poles. The ground shook. Bits of buildings came down. Kings started their counts, and Daniel started his. Daniel looked around. "Where's Justin?" He raced back in the courtyard, and he saw Justin under a large piece of building. "Leave me. Save yourself," said Justin. Prince Hadley had seen Daniel run back in, so he flew over. He dropped a magical rope down. "Tie it on the piece, anywhere you can." Daniel looked at his hands. "Leave me," said Justin. "No," said Daniel. He looped the rope around and made the best knot he was able. Prince Hadley's dragon flew higher, and Daniel quickly dragged Justin out, and just in time, because his knot didn't hold. Daniel lifted Justin in his arms, and he headed out. There were more explosions, and Daniel felt himself falling, but then he and Justin were in a bubble. Sizemore was getting good at picking up people or animal people in the magical bubbles, albeit he didn't have as many as his granddaughter did. Everyone regrouped at the Great Oak. A lot of the animal people had died, some from fighting other animal people, and some from falling building pieces. The falling building had severely injured Justin, so Sizemore thought to Kalacia to send the Stitchman to him in a bubble. Kalacia had thought her bubbles were too small, but Sizemore said it was important. So after a little time, the Stitchman arrived and sewed up Justin. Princess of Norway spoke with Daniel and asked what his people were going to do. Daniel said that the lion men would go to the plains in the east, but the gorilla men wanted to go to the mountains in the south. They needed Justin to lead them. There were no more bear men left. The wolf men had scattered once the chaos started in each enemy fortress, so who knew about them? And no one knew about the flying gorillas or the extra large birds that they had grounded during the last several battles. Daniel confided that they didn't know how long they would live because many of them died every day, and he said the same was true for the gorilla men. He said the wolfmen didn't really interact with the rest of them, and they often kept to themselves. Princess of Norway kept to herself that she had read about the death rates. Many from the three kingdoms flew home, but many stayed. In the morning, Princess of Norway and Sizemore once again put animal people in bubbles and brought them to the prospective places, and then they flew on home. Princess of Norway stood at the entrance to the cave. She was now queen, but she didn't feel she was the leader her people needed. She also couldn't be sure her enemies were truly dead. She sent out 3 magical balls. She said protection spells over all 3 before she sent them. Their job was to find the 3 kings against her, and any scientists left alive. The magic was to report its findings to her. Sizemore approached. "What are you doing?" "Seeing if we can return home," she replied. Sizemore almost said they had killed their enemies, but they had killed 2 of the kings twice. Instead, he said, "Are you checking to see if they have any remaining source?" "No, the sources scare me." "We have scouts," stated Sizemore. "I think we go back and start rebuilding." Princess of Norway turned to her grandfather. "Dad would like to be with me then." They made arrangements to move back. Princess of Norway learned that most of her bubbles that held people had not disappeared and were ready to hold the same people again, so they were back in the kingdom in no time. It would take time to rebuild, but the people had magic once again, and they could use the magic to help. It would be easier to get food from the plains and the woods around their kingdom than it would be from living high up in the mountains. They had a burial ceremony for King Grimes, and a coronation for Princess Emnorawyn. A few days later, Queen Emnora received her magical balls back, that the kings were no more, and it seemed the sources had leaked out. Prince Hadley flew in. He asked Sizemore if he could court Princess Emnorawyn, and Sizemore responded, "She is Queen Emnora now." "She is still a dragon rider," asked Prince Hadley. "Yes, but as queen she will go by her name," replied Sizemore. So Prince Hadley and Queen Emnora started courting, and they also had the approval of Calatia, who still kept tabs on Queen Emnora, although she swore she wasn't trying to. 9 months later, Prince Hadley went to check on King Jafir's people. The pregnant women had animal people babies. Prince Hadley and Queen Emnora found Daniel and brought him to the small village. They told him that it might be hard for the mothers to care for the lion boy or the lion girl after some time, and asked if he could help out after the mother weaned them. Daniel reluctantly agreed. He didn't feel like he would be a good father. He noticed 2 other animal people babies, and he asked about them. Daniel agreed to go help them find Justin. Queen Emnora and Prince Hadley landed their dragons north of the woods before the mountain, and Queen Emnora let Daniel out. After a few minutes, Daniel walked out of the woods. "I didn't think I would see you again," he said. Daniel motioned. "They were looking for us. Come see something. They will bring you back." Justin looked at Queen Emnora. "You have aged. Are you—" He hung his head for a few minutes. "I don't know human rights or courtesies, but you are now a leader too." "Yes, I am queen of my people," replied Queen Emnora. Justin agreed to go. He was tremendously surprised to see the animal people babies. I thought we burned the notes. How is this possible?" They explained things to him, and he agreed to come back and take the gorilla boy and the gorilla girl. He too didn't think he would be a good father. After another year, Prince Hadley and Queen Emnora married. King Cronte and his wife, Queen Lacardie, joined the ceremony, along with all of Queen Lacardie's students. King Trufflemore and his daughter also joined. Daniel brought his 2 adopted children. He had actually agreed for them to come in bubbles, and Justin agreed too, and came with his adopted children. Just before the ceremony ended, the rest of Steinerman's siblings and his mother came and joined them. After the ceremony, Queen Emnora promised her people and all present that she would do all in her power to keep magic alive and let it grow. When she sent Daniel and Justin and their adopted children back to their places, she was sad to see them go, but happy for them. They had told her it hadn't been easy at first, but they were managing with the 3 or 4 lion men or gorilla men that they had left. And both Daniel and Justin enjoyed having the children more than they thought they would. They confessed it brought meaning into their lives. Before King Truffleman left, he made sure Queen Emnora remembered that she was welcome to read his magical library, and she told him that she, of course, would come as often as possible, because she had to keep a watch on Princess Ezeris, one of her students. Science, of course, was not dead, but the sand artist was drawing new things for people to make, besides all the traps. But they were things to help them out. One of his first drawings was that of a 2-wheeled contraption powered by a human pedaling it. Calatia's brothers were eager to test it out. Queen Emnora enjoyed watching the brothers. She would always miss her father and Miss Stygerguard, but she was glad that peace had settled among her people for the time being. Okay, writers, that is the end of chapter 38 and the end of the story. I promised you that I would tell how this story came to be. So, on weekends before my husband and I were married, I would drive to his house. One Friday night, it was raining. And I said night, so you know it's dark. It was raining with a lot of thunder and lightning. And David, my husband's neighborhood, had a low place just before getting to his house. Like you go low and then you drive up a small hill. Not really, you can't really classify it as a hill, but you drive up to his house. And so I drove my truck instead of my car. So I had purchased the truck for my daughter to drive because she was getting to be the age of driving. So, but for this Friday night, I drove the truck instead of my car, and the truck was white. I actually had to take different streets to get to his house because the low area was flooded, so I had to go a different route to get to his house. And the drive was near an hour long or more, since all the rain and stuff like that. At this point, I had not named the truck yet. I generally name my cars, but I had not named the truck yet. But that night, I named it Stygerguard. And as I drove in the rain, Stygerguard became a dragon that would fly in the rain and bring me safely to my boyfriend's future husband's house. That rainy night was the seed for this story. Leave a comment on a seed to a story you are writing. Leave a comment on what you would want the sand artist to draw for the people to make. Leave a comment on the animal babies that Daniel and Justin adopted. Leave a comment on Queen Emnorawyn and Prince Hadley getting married. Leave a comment on if you think I should have added a comment about Commander Offerton. Probably I should have. He should have been at the wedding and had some role in it or something. I don't know. Join me Tuesday for a review of all the words we discussed in Season 4. Join me Wednesday for Chapter 2, Summary of 1984 by George Orwell. Join me Friday for a new plot for our next story we will write together and share. So it'll be the 5th shared plot for the channel. And next week, Story Tuesday, will be start of Season 5. Visit my website bymckella.com, read some character bios. If you read some, then leave a comment on which ones you have read. And let's see. I think that, I don't know what day this is that this is posting, but the channel anniversary was March 14th, and I think that was Thursday. So, we're going in on our 3rd year. Visit my website bymckella.com, read some character bios. If you read some, comment on which ones you've read. All your comments will help us start conversations and build our community. Keep all comments respectful, and remember that someone else's perspective can help you with your writing. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and the bell so we can continue to write together and other people will have a higher chance of finding this video in this channel, since your likes will push the video out to a greater audience. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate your participation. If you know someone who would like this video, please share it with them. This is Mckella with Write with Mckella. Bye for now.